Today we're getting into the latest Tesla tech and EV news, including new Tesla features leaked, a Tesla battery fire recall, the new Meta Raybans display, Nissan discontinuing an EV, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, Tesla is always updating their software, and the latest versions have a few updates that we've heard about through their release notes and also have discovered through simply using the software. First, Tesla has reduced the delay between video and Bluetooth audio in software update 2025.32. This improvement is reportedly only for Tesla vehicles equipped with AMD Ryzen MCU. Cars with older MCU 2 won't actually get this improvement because this new version has Bluetooth 5.0 and more processing power. Before this fix, users would often notice lip-syncing issues when watching a video on a phone or something when parked, and then listening to it on speakers. Video visuals definitely wouldn't match the audio, and then media controls, pause, skip, etc. felt very sluggish because it was very delayed for the car. This is definitely an update that is long overdue because video streamed from a phone will now be much better synced and media controls will respond much faster. This is kind of one of those features that you get used to as a Tesla owner, but really shouldn't actually be a problem, so I'm glad to see this fixed at least on the latest cars. It still seems like something they should be able to fix on older cars, but we'll see if that ever comes in time. Another issue kind of like this that I want to see them change is gapless playback in Tidal. Gapless playback is something we're very used to having for decades at this point on all of our devices, but when you listen on Tidal, which is especially optimized for hi-fi streaming in a Tesla vehicle, it has a gap between every song. In any case, at the same time, in software version 2025.32, Tesla has added a new alert to alert you when cabin radar is obstructed. The alert says cabin occupancy radar obstructed, remove obstruction near the dome lights. This only triggers when all vehicle doors are closed, and then it's of course obstructed. The causes of this include objects attached to the headliner above the rearview mirror mount, and large items placed near the front of the cabin. Clearing this obstruction removes the alert. Now it's interesting because Tesla has removed radar on the outside of their cars, but inside it's actually becoming a crucial safety feature and convenience feature. This detects seat occupancy, including the rear seats, to help with safety restraint deployment. And it also alerts owners if pets or children are left behind. It also will help with automatic parking brake when exiting the vehicle and displaying correct information on the display related to occupancy and safety. Tesla's newer vehicles, especially the refreshed Model 3 and Model Y, include the newer 4D cabin radar, versus older vehicles may have cabin radars too, but possibly with limited functionality there. At the same time, a system many are used to at this point is the full self-driving strike forgiveness policy. This is because full self-driving will give you a strike if you are not paying attention well enough, and those strikes will expire after a certain amount of time. The forgiveness period, though, how long a strike stays before being cleared, assuming you didn't get any new strikeouts, has been cut in half from 7 days to 3.5 days. Under the new rules, if you get a strike for inattentiveness, it will be removed after 3.5 days, providing you don't get any further strikes. There are still maximums here as well, so you're allowed to get up to 5 strikes total if your car has a full cabin camera, but up to 3 strikes if your car is old enough to not have a cabin camera. Once you hit that maximum, FSD access is locked out until your strike resets, but now it will reset a little bit sooner. This seems to be one of the first in many moves that Tesla will be making in time to shift towards being more forgiving of driver monitoring, especially as FSD gets more capable and newer versions come online, like version 14 that is supposed to be pretty incredible. Of course, that has to coincide with regulatory approval there, so we'll see how that all works, and if any of these things that they change may actually get rolled back before they get rolled back out. Now, in Tesla app version 4.49.0, they've added a few things as well, including iPhone 17 support. On top of that, the Schedules section has been renamed Set Schedules, and it now shows when each schedule will run, for example, next schedule Tuesday at 10 p.m. Also, under Charging Schedules, the app reflects whether you've set a start time or an end time. Then the Supercharger virtual queue is also being integrated into the Tesla app. Users can join a virtual waitlist via the app instead of physically lining up at that location for busy superchargers. Once you're in that queue, you'll see an estimated wait time, and then if you miss your turn, the app will show a missed turn removed from waitlist message. There are also updates to Tesla Insurance within the app, and then Tesla is introducing a new feature called Supercharger Mileage. It looks similar to the recently introduced Charging Multipass, but instead it's based on mileage instead of kilowatt hours. Initially, we're seeing signs of this feature coming to China specifically. Next up today, some new changes to Tesla's vehicles have leaked. These were officially approved a little over a month ago, and now that info has leaked before it's actually come to these cars in the public. First, approval has been added for the Performance Model Y, which makes sense, and then there's an updated steering wheel overview for the Model 3. But they're adding another long-range all-wheel drive Model Y to this in certain markets, which will seemingly include the LG 5M battery. However, there are two changes that seem to be coming across the board for the Model 3. The first is one we've already seen in China, the addition of a turn signal stalk. This is a change that Tesla has fully had to walk back on the Model 3, and at this point, once this change has been made, it will be only the Model S, Model X, and Cybertruck that do not have a turn signal stalk. For the Model 3 and Y, the vast majority of the cars that Tesla sells, they will continue having a physical control there for the turn signal stalk, as opposed to buttons or touch-sensitive buttons. This is the one physical control that legitimately seems to have prevented sales enough for Tesla to make a change, and that stock is coming back to the Model 3. Also in China, you can now retrofit this if you have an older Model 3 without that stock, and that might be something that comes to the US in the near future for about $350. On top of this, it's official that Tesla is adding a front fascia camera for the Model 3. The Model 3 is actually the last Tesla shipping without a front bumper camera, so this change has been expected for a while now. It's not only a nice feature, but it is expected to be necessary for future FSD improvements. One big indicator there is that the dedicated robotaxi has that front bumper camera. So soon, the Model 3 will be adding all of these features. I'm also curious to see if Tesla will update the Model 3 performance to have some features that the Model Y performance now has, like the leg support in those front seats and a larger center display. Regarding that Model Y performance though, it's already shipping over in Europe, but it should be coming soon to the United States because one was spotted fully uncovered in Austin, Texas. Here we can see the updated front bumper and rear diffuser that absolutely matches what this car has launched with over in Europe. For this car, the cover has been removed, and it appears that it's actually the same car we spotted a couple of weeks ago at Giga Texas driving around covered up. It's the same car, they've just removed that cover for whatever reason, and that indicates that it could be coming very soon. On the other side of things is the more affordable Model Y. The Kilowatts spotted this one out testing in the wild, and we can see that Tesla is fully covering up the wheels on this car, which is kind of rare for them to do. Usually they will just use different wheels that they've already shipped in the past or not really hide them, and this indicates that these are likely new 18-inch wheels for this base model that we haven't seen before. That's what they did on the now discontinued long-range rear-wheel drive version of the Cybertruck. They launched it with new, smaller wheels exclusive to that trim, and we expect them to do the same thing here for the Model Y. Another thing we can see is an orange reflector in the top of the headlights that suggests that these are where the headlights are. On the normal Model Y, there's that top light bar, and then the actual headlights exist below that. It seems that instead for this car, Tesla is going with the headlights up at the top there, and likely no front light bar. In any case, we should be seeing that car coming quite soon here. Basically, it seems that Tesla is waiting for the end of the federal EV tax credit, and then they'll announce this cheaper model. Now, last week we reported on a new ban that may involve Tesla that is coming out of China and also coming to other markets. China is considering outlawing fully hidden or pop-out exterior door handles. These are the handles that conceal themselves flush to the body and only become accessible, pop out, or slide out when unlocked. Semi-retractable handles or traditional handles would still be permitted, provided that there is a mechanical redundant release mechanism inside the door. This is being considered overall for safety and first responders. In emergencies, fully hidden handles sometimes fail to present or are difficult to use, which can delay a rescue or an exit. On top of this, reliability hasn't been as great on these electric door handles. We have seen a few cases in different markets where a vehicle was in an accident and it was hard to open these doors because of these hidden handles. So this is going to affect a lot of different automakers over in China, and Tesla may end up in the mix here. They do have backup mechanical releases in their cars, but accessing these door handles from the outside can be difficult. As such, this week there were reports about this in the United States, specifically referring to Tesla having to change this design. Tesla is reportedly working to redesign their door handles so that the electronic release and the manual release inside the car are more unified, likely unified into one intuitive mechanism. The goal is to make door operations in an emergency or a panic situation much easier and not something you actually have to think about. Tesla has these releases, but they aren't in the most obvious locations, especially in the rear. And I've always made sure to point out this location in videos, but still it shouldn't be as hard as it is defined. In the rear of most Tesla vehicles, you have to go inside the door pocket, open up a little flap there, and then pull a tab to release the door mechanically if electronic power has gone out to these doors in an emergency scenario. This is partially coming up as well because NHTSA or NHTSA has opened up an investigation into around 174,000 Model Y vehicles from 2021. These are allegedly affected by electronic door handle failures. In reported cases, the electronic handle became inoperative due to the low voltage system failing. Outside access also failed, and so owners couldn't open the doors from the outside, sometimes after stepping out for just a second to load children in. And there are a few cases where parents had to break the windows in order to get in. So the proposal here is that Tesla will be combining the electronic and manual release into one simple control, so there's really nothing to think about, and it just takes over and becomes mechanical in these cases. Tesla's chief designer, Franz von Holzhausen, actually talked about this directly in an interview, saying that they are working on that exterior door handle solution, and quote, "I'm not worried about that." It seems that they're having to address two different scenarios coming from US regulators and Chinese regulators, and overall I think this will end up with a good solution that's overall much more intuitive and better as a whole. Now, at the same time that this is happening, Tesla is also having to recall certain Powerwall 2 units sold between November of 2020 and June of 2022. The issue here can actually be a pretty big deal, which is that some battery cells from a third-party supplier may fail and overheat, potentially causing smoking and flames. There's been minor property damage reported as a result of these specific units. Now, these affected units are being remotely discharged by Tesla to reduce fire risk already, and they will replace the affected units at no cost to the owner. And on top of that, they are considering compensation for losses, things like higher utility bills, lost revenue, and more due to the Powerwalls being offline while this recall is going on. The recall notice so far is specific to Australia, where the risk was identified, and it's not yet confirmed whether this recall is limited to Australia or if it's globally for all Powerwalls sold during that time. In any case, owners should check the Tesla app to see if their Powerwall is affected. So even though the incidents so far have been minor, it is a serious problem and it will need to be remedied. I'll be sure to keep you posted on the full extent of this once it expands and let you know if it's simply just Australia or affecting Powerwalls globally. Next up, speaking of Australia, Tesla has officially launched FSD Supervised in Australia and New Zealand, specifically for customers with Hardware 4. This feature is delivered via an over-the-air software update, version 2025.26.7.10 for AI4 vehicles. And there are two options here. You can do a full upfront purchase, or you can do the subscription model, which is coming soon. As usual, Tesla is emphasizing that this system does require active driver supervision and it doesn't make your car fully autonomous. The driver must stay attentive. This is a cool market to see, and it's very cool to see customers who are receiving this for the first time. These are customers who are going from basic autopilot to the latest version of full self-driving, so it's a huge jump in functionality there. But of course, for the future here, Tesla is focused on their robotaxi, and one question people always have is, will Tesla partner with Uber? Well, this week, Uber's CEO pitched how this could work. He said, quote, "The pitch is simple. If you're looking to maximize the revenue of those robotaxis, we are your ticket to that maximization. To the extent that you're looking to have these fleets owned by people, and to the extent that those owners are not able to monetize their assets on the Uber network, they will under-monetize. If there are competitors offering those vehicles access to the Uber network, the monetization of those vehicles will be superior, and those digital shepherds will go elsewhere." Now that's the big difference between Tesla's robotaxi approach for the future and basically everyone else making robotaxis. Waymo does have their own app, but they've already partnered with Uber. And then when we look at other companies, a lot of them are ending up partnering with some company like Uber that already has this thing established. For Tesla, though, they're keeping it all self-contained and building their own app from the ground up, which could prove to be a better solution long term. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up partnering just so everyone can have full access very easily to robotaxis. Maybe it will just be known that it comes at a little bit of a premium there compared to going directly through the Tesla app. Next up today, some updates from other tech companies and automakers. Over at Meta, they have revealed a new version of their Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses at their Connect event. First, they unveiled the Gen 2 of the existing Ray-Bans that they've had from Meta. Now, I have a pair of these, and I actually do use them quite often, especially to take video when I'm on stage as a drummer, and it's a very cool field of view. But the improvements here are especially good for those who use these all the time. I'm more of a casual user, using it just as like a video device and such, but people who do use these for long periods of time will be happy to see that there's improvements to the battery life. The battery life is about double compared to the previous generation, and the second gen model will start at $379. These upgraded glasses also reportedly have a better video camera, at least a higher resolution video capture than the prior generation, up to 3K at 60 frames per second with HDR. It also supports 60 frames per second at 1080p. Photos are about the same as they were before, so overall it seems like it's capturing better video, but it's not necessarily a better camera itself. Then this includes better audio as a whole, so better speakers on the glasses, as well as better mics. Now as a drummer, the mics on these glasses are basically unusable when I'm playing drums, because it's just so loud it absolutely overloads them, so I am curious to see if it's better for that, or if it's just simply never designed for that. In any case, these are all pretty minor upgrades, but for power users, they will be noticeable. At the same time, Meta has also been working with Oakley on smart glasses. Those were revealed actually just a couple of months ago, but there's a new pair from Oakley, and these are sport glasses specifically for athletes. They specifically designed them for things like cycling, running, and snowboarding, so they're rugged, they have an action-ready design, wraparound lenses, a centered camera, better water and dust protection, and more. Similarly, this is capable of 3K video, and then it also has new video modes for slow motion and hyperlapse, along with better image stabilization. These will also integrate with workout apps and auto-record when you reach certain goals and such, so that will be something that I think specific athletes will really appreciate. But the bigger news here from Meta is their Ray-Ban display glasses. This is kind of a big future step that we've been talking about for some time. I think a lot of people have it in their minds and understand what Apple was going for with the Apple Vision Pro. But that was just a gigantic, very expensive form factor. However, into the long future, I think people can understand that if it can be all integrated into a pair of glasses with a display on it, that could be something that's very nice and could ultimately replace certain functions of the smartphone. Meta has shown us where they're going in the long future here, but immediately they're going to be releasing these new Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. These have the classic Ray-Ban style, and they're AI glasses with a high-res display. It also includes a Meta neural band that attaches to your wrist for interaction silently. You can silently control things with small movements in your hands. The displays will show things like a POV view and a viewfinder when taking photos with the glasses, as well as messages, navigation, a live view when you're interacting with the AI, and much more. It's all things that pop up on the screen that is very bright so you can see it outdoors. Also, it will do things like subtitles in real time when having a conversation, which is a little bit of a peek at a future that could be very revolutionary. We're getting things like Live Translate coming to the AirPods Pro 3, as well as these glasses, but a subtitles feature is actually something that could help out a lot of people in a normal conversation as well, speaking the same language. In any case, these are starting at $799 and will be available in-store starting September 30th. I think it's a very interesting product. It's definitely not for everyone, and for some people, it may be kind of scary that now people can be walking around with sunglasses and actually have a display showing them text messages when it looks like they're looking at you. But if we are diving all the way into this future, which is better, staring down at a phone or staring out at the world and seeing a display? I am curious to see, and leave a comment below to let me know what your thoughts are on these. Next up, over at Rivian, they have a micro-mobility arm called Also, and they're preparing to launch a new e-bike. It actually just leaked in images from a marketing video, and it reveals its design. This bike has 20-inch wheels, a full suspension, which includes an inverted front fork and rear swing arm, and a large headlight, indicating a rugged premium design here. Then there's a sizable enclosure near the bottom bracket that likely houses the battery or the drivetrain, but it is unclear if the battery is specifically removable on this bike or not. It's expected to be a Class 3 e-bike, which gets around 28 miles per hour with assist, but those details are unconfirmed, as well as all the rest, including pricing. Pricing is speculated to be quite high though, around $3,500 to $5,500, positioning it with other very premium e-bike brands. I think a lot of people like what Rivian does and likes their design design, so I could see this being quite popular as an e-bike. But the fact that marketing stuff is leaking shows us we'll probably get a peek at this very soon officially from Rivian. Now over at Nissan, they're actually pulling one of their latest EVs, the Ariya, from their lineup with the 2026 model year. They're halting production for the US market as a whole. Instead, they're reallocating resources to launch the all-new 2026 Leaf EV, which is expected to have the lowest MSRP among new EVs in the US. The new Leaf should start at about $29,990 in the US, though early production will be limited. As for the Ariya so far, it will still be available through the rest of 2025 and dealer inventory remains. Also, owners will still get service, parts, and warranty support, but they cite a number of reasons for discontinuing this as a whole. First is rising import costs, with tariffs on vehicles built in Japan. Then the upcoming end of the federal EV tax credit that favors low-cost EVs. Also, market demand in the US and cost pressures are specifically pushing manufacturers to focus on more affordable EVs. So while this is disappointing to see, I think overall it could be a good thing for Nissan as a whole. I'd love to see that Leaf EV actually come to be, and if they have to discontinue a more expensive vehicle that isn't all that popular in order to make that happen, it seems like a good thing. That's all the latest Tesla tech and EV news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see a breakdown of all the hidden features that you can unlock in a Tesla vehicle, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.